This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are, February the 6th, 2023, and I have a return guest, somebody that was forwarded forwarded to me through Scott the Icon, Helmsreth last year, and I'm having her back because she may have to cut a promo on Eric Mathias. You know how
Oh,
that
I
is.
don't know about that, but we'll see.
Yes, I know. But folks, we have Laurie Burt herself, Granny Hulkster, back on the show. How do you do, Laurie?
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me on again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that last year that when we talked, you were going to go to WrestleMania, and
Yes.
I was so disappointed I didn't see you jump the railing and beat
Well,
some.
where we were setting at, it would have been really, if I would have jumped the railing where we were setting at in the upper level, I would not be here today because we were, up high and, the floor was a long ways down. So, I wasn't by ringside. So, unfortunately, but we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. That was our first WrestleMania. We
Mhm.
went with ours and who lives in New York, and we went to night two of WrestleMania. But we also went to one day of WrestleCon, which was pretty awesome. The people from Fight TV actually did an interview with me, which I was very humbled by. So,
Did they interview Eric Mathias as well?
well, I don't think Matthias was there at WrestleCon. I mean, he wasn't there.
Was he
So,
hiding?
well, he could have been. I mean,
Granny
who
Hulkster.
knows? Who knows about Matthias? I mean, every week I sit very kindly and I never say anything about when it's comes his time to ask his questions, how he always talks about himself. I never interrupt, but one of these days, who knows? I might just, you never know what Granny's going to say. I mean, just you might be surprised because one of these days I may just have to put Matthias in his place, but we'll see.
Well, I told him when I had him on, I gotta have him on again at some point here. But when I had him on last year, I told him to cut a promo. That he's in a four corners elimination against you, Chrissy Krueger, and Scott the Icon.
Oh wow.
And he was sure he was going to win that.
That would be, yes, that would be interesting. So
Yeah, he sounded pretty confident, but I don't know.
yeah,
I
well, he's always pretty confident about himself, when he's talking about him and being one of the sly guys, Sylvester J. Fox, and although we had Eric Bischoff on our podcast, not too long ago. And, Matthias wasn't very happy that Eric Bischoff took Sly's golf club and used it on him, used it on Sylvester J. Fox. And they were talking about he was issuing Eric Bischoff a challenge, and Icon said something about, "Oh, I'll be in your corner." And Eric says, "Well, I don't," Eric Bischoff says, "Well, I don't know about that." And I said, "Well, maybe he wants Granny Hulkster in his corner." And Eric Bischoff says, "Now we're talking. Let's make that happen." So who knows? I might be coming back. I might be making a trip to Fargo, North Dakota and be in Eric Bischoff's corner. Who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it might be the first time you ever won a match.
So it would be
Well,
interesting.
we'll talk about some of your favorite highlights from the second night of WrestleMania 30.
Well, I mean, the whole show was absolutely amazing. I think one of the most touching moments was when Undertaker came out, walked the ramp down to the ring, and he really didn't say a whole lot. He was just basically there to thank everybody, because he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, But I tell you, where we were sitting, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, when those flames came up, you could feel the heat. I mean, the heat was just, I mean, and they weren't bad seats. I mean, they really weren't. We saw everything really well. I mean, it was just a really good time. I loved the match with Pat McAfee and Sami Zayn because Pat McAfee had this giant mouse trap, rat trap, whatever you want to call it.
And,
And I mean,
you mean
he got
Johnny
Sammy
Knoxville?
he got Sammy pinned under that trap. I mean, that was pretty funny. I
Johnny
mean, just
Knoxville.
the yeah the whole night was just yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Pat McAfee. I got my confused, but it was just the whole night was just really amazing. It was a lot of fun. I apologize. Like I said, I had so many great moments that night, just being there at WrestleMania because that was our first time. And it was just a lot of fun. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I did like Pat McAfee's match too. That was good too. So
Yeah, he won and he lost.
yeah.
Although I'm
Yeah,
gonna
unfortunately, but it was all good. I mean, it was good. And
I'll
getting to see uh professional wrestlers at WrestleCon that I know personally was pretty amazing. Of course, I'm friends with the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, and I got to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan and his lovely wife Deborah there, and just it was just a great time. And of course, I got to meet Tommy Wildfire Rich for the very first time. I love Tommy Wildfire Rich. He was really amazing. But it was so amazing that the professional wrestlers that knew me personally, they were all happy to see me there. But the ones that had never met me were pretty amazing. I mean, they loved my granny shirt, by the way. I mean, I got a lot of compliments about my granny shirt. I mean, people were pointing at me like, look at that lady, look at her, and I got to talk to Nick Aldis, which was pretty cool because I met Mickey James back in 2012 at Traditional Championship Wrestling. So I knew Mickey James, but I had never met Nick. And he says, "Oh, Granny, you'd be heartbroken if you had to boo me," of course, in his accent. And I said, "Oh, no, I wouldn't, Nick." But I said, "You're going to have to tell Trevor and you're going to have to tell Trevor Murdoch and Tim Storm that I got to meet you." He says, "Oh, yes, I'll have to tell them that I've met the world famous Granny Hulkster." So that was pretty cool. But the Godfather, he was pretty awesome. We walked into the room and his booth was like right at the front door practically as you walked in. And excuse me, allergy problems. I apologize. Um, but he says, "Oh, Granny Hulkster, I like that. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool." And we went to Control Your Narrative the first night we got into town, which was pretty awesome. EC3 and of course Braun Strowman. Now he's back with WWE. So
yeah. Well, we just lost Leaping Lanny Poffo recently. Did you see that?
yes, very sad. Very sad.
So we'll never get to see him cut a promo, a poem on Eric Mathias.
Now we've had such crazy weather here in Arkansas where I live. We had last week we had sleet and a little bit of ice, and we had thunder sleet one day where it was actually thundering and lightning while it was sleeting.
So what's it like meeting Mickey James?
She's really sweet. I really liked her. Um, the girl she was wrestling against, cheerleader Melissa,
Uh-huh.
she was giving me grief, and Nikki hollers, "Hey, leave my granny alone." So, but it was funny because my friend that we went to WrestleMania with, he used to work at the airport in New York where he lives, and so he would see a lot of the WWE superstars all the time. And one time he told me a story of Mickey James and Alexa Bliss, coming into the airport, and he was talking to them and everything, and he mentioned my name, and Mickey James says, "Oh yes, Granny, I remember her. Really sweet lady." But she says, "Bliss, you wouldn't want to piss Granny off and make her mad." So I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, Alexa Bliss. Every male wrestling fan's crush.
Oh yes, yes. My We went to a friend's business in Fayetteville, Arkansas, for the he had a watch party for the Royal Rumble, and they grilled burgers, and you could get burgers and fry. You could get a hamburger or cheeseburger and fries, or two brats and fries. And my friend that was there came over to watch the watch party with all of us. He says, "Oh yes," he says, "that's my future wife." He was just making jokes about Alexa Bliss and being his future wife. And I showed a picture of her husband to him. And he says, "Oh," he says, "I'll just send out the paperwork to him on Monday." It was so funny.
Yeah. Oh, she's gorgeous. It's going back. I watched Mickey James in a match she did back in TNA. A woman that I've been keeping an eye on. I'm waiting for her to finally get signed to WWE as Evilise.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, gee, Evilise came out in a black leather outfit, and I was, oh my goodness, she's gorgeous. Yeah.
So, but
Big
things I've been busy. I've been going to as many independent wrestling shows as I possibly can. Just doing what Granny does best, hollering at all the bad guys like I do. That hasn't changed, and so.
What are you expecting at this year's WrestleMania? I know there's only been a handful of matches signed. Do you think Cody Rhodes
No,
will dethrone Roman Reigns?
I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be a really good. I think that's going to be a good match. I really do. You know, I'm not a big Rhea Ripley fan, but the Royal Rumble was very interesting this year. How they did everything. It was really good the way they did everything. So
I am a big Charlotte Flair fan, though. I like
yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah. Charlotte is right now, and I've been waiting for it to happen, is the one female wrestler who's got up to 4 wins at WrestleMania. Prior to that, the most any females have won is 3. Sable and Trish Stratus have had 3,
Mm.
but Charlotte's now got 4. I was like, nice, and you can really give it in there. So I like Charlotte Flair a lot. Um, you think Charlotte will take out Rhea Ripley and make it a 5th?
It's very possible. I kind of I don't know, if she's if because I didn't know for sure if she had really, or I think she did the other night when she was on Raw. She talked about wanting Charlotte Flair. So I think that's going to be really interesting. I It's going to be an interesting match. I mean, I look for Charlotte to beat her, but you never know. Rhea Ripley, she's always got something up her sleeve, so you never know about Rhea, so she could pull a first and beat Charlotte, but who knows? I mean,
What about Cody versus Reigns? Who do you think's going to come out on top?
well, I'd like to see Cody win it, but I don't know. if Reigns is going to have all of his guys in his corner. Now, after what happened at the Royal Rumble with, Jay walking away from the bloodline, I'm not sure what's going to happen there, and um that's going to be an interesting match. I would really like to see Cody get it, but I don't know. I don't know if I've heard rumors that they're saying that, Roman's not going to be able to keep the belt, but you never know. It's just there. Expect the unexpected, I guess you could say, because you never know what's going to happen at WrestleMania.
It was nice last year to see Steve Austin
Yeah.
in that match with Kevin Owens,
Mhm.
we never expected to see. And they're right now hinting at Steve Austin wrestling at this one. A lot of fans, and I heard Jim Cornette talk about this, a lot of fans get these uh dream match ideas like Austin versus Reigns or Austin versus Brock. But Austin really, and this is not anything against him, but he's at an age where, especially with neck injury, taking a bunch of F5s from Brock is not going to happen.
No, no. I mean, that could be dangerous to his. I mean, well, it's kind of like, at the Royal Rumble, Edge coming out, in the Rumble, and everything. I mean, look at all the injuries he sustained with his neck, and everything. And then Monday night he came out, and Beth came out and took out Rhea Ripley again. So, it's just you love these people, Edge, and Austin, but you got to think of your health too. I mean, how many more times are you going to be able to get in that ring and wrestle another match? I mean, I know even in the independent scene, I've had wrestler friends that have, hey, I'm through, I'm done, I'm walking away from it. But then a few months goes by and here they are, they're back, they're back. And I'm glad for that because I love to watch these guys wrestle. I mean, I'm not related to any of them, but I consider each and every one of them I know part of my extended family. I mean, they've always been there for us, and they always make my son feel really good about himself when he goes to wrestling matches. They always make sure that he matters. And that makes me feel really good because, my son growing up, he didn't have a lot of friends. He was bullied in school. He has bipolar disorder. We found out back in 2021 he actually meets the criteria for autism spectrum disorder. And but these guys that we know, they treat my son Anthony like he's their kid brother. I mean, they love him and they'll recognize him for his birthday or whatever, especially Tim Rockwell at Wrestling for a Cause. Big shout out to my friend Tim. He they just celebrated their 11th year anniversary uh at their show last October in of 2022. So they're starting a new trend for Wrestling for a Cause, still helping out families, helping kids fight the fight for childhood cancer, doing what I mean, the show they did even Saturday night, the parents of the little girl that they did the show for, the little girl unfortunately lost her battle with cancer back in November of 2022, but they still put on an amazing show for their parents, and all the money that was raised with concession and ticket sales and everything went to the family to help with expenses for that little girl that had passed away. So her name was Zariah, and she was just a baby. I mean, she was just, I think she might have been a little over a year old, maybe 2. I don't think she was much older than that. But that's what I love about Wrestling for a Cause. What they do, how it all got started, and how it all got started was for a little boy by the name of Ryder. Um, they did their very first show for Ryder and his family, and now they do. It's called the Ryder Herring Memorial Cup. This is the 3rd year that they've actually been doing this, and they do like a tournament. And the winner of the tournament gets a big trophy, and gets to pick who they want to face for anybody that's holding, like the WFC championship or the Hometown Heroes championship. They get their choice who they want to face. And it's pretty cool the way they do things.
I
So
bought
I'm
face
blessed to be a part of that. I'm sorry I didn't hear you.
I want to face Alexa Bliss.
Oh, you want to face Alexa Bliss? Well, you might get hurt. You might get hurt, Craig.
Well, be John Cougar Mellencamp once sang, "Hurts so good."
Yeah, yeah, the song hurts so good. That's right. So I
Yeah.
think you would, but knowing you like I do, Greg, you would probably enjoy that pain.
Yeah.
So
Oh boy. A lot of the wrestlers I really loved growing up are passing away, unfortunately. Um, if I went to a WrestleCon, I'm not sure how many people I'd either know or would want to meet. There's a lot of females, yes. I love the what women's wrestling is doing right now. Very pleased. That's come a long way. The males right now, like a lot of my past wrestling heroes are gone, but I mean, I'd still be open to meeting guys like Jake the Snake and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Terry Funk, the Iron Sheik, people like that.
well,
Uh,
we got to meet, of course, we know Jake Roberts from when he used to come to traditional championship wrestling all the time, do appearances there. But we got to meet Jeff Hardy when we were at WrestleCon. We got to meet Lex Luger,
oh,
and
Lex, nice.
he was very, very kind, very personable. God bless him. Dealing with what he's been dealing with. He was actually in a wheelchair, and which is very sad. We got to meet Brooke Hogan, and she loved my shirt. She says, "I'm going to have to tell my dad about you." She says, "You're just absolutely amazing." And of course, we got to meet Lillian Garcia, which was really cool. I didn't get to talk to Trish or Lita because their lines were so long, but I got to talk to Christian Cage for a few minutes, and I said, "I didn't think you were supposed to be here today." He said, "Well, I wasn't supposed to be, but something got changed, so here I am for a little while longer." And we got to meet Jungle Boy from AEW, which he was super nice. And then I found out, and I did not know this, but I found out that when I walked by Heath Slater's table, he actually had taken a picture of me without me knowing it, which was fine. I don't care. But like, dude, if you're going to take a picture of me, get the picture with me. I mean, come on, let's do a selfie together here or something. But
I bet you
uh,
could beat later in a fight.
oh, I don't know. But and of course, Lance Archer from AEW, he was there, and of course we knew him from traditional championship wrestling too. When they ran in Arkansas, he went by the name of Lance Hoyt back then. And he says, "Well, Granny, when are you coming to AEW?" I said, "Well, when are you coming to Arkansas? You come to Arkansas and I'll come to AEW. Uh, but I have to share an interesting story with you. And
Okay.
this is really odd because I'm not a big MJF fan. I do not like Maxwell at all. Do not like him. Never have. But my friend that we went to WrestleMania with, he was flying out of New York to go to Kansas City for his grandfather's funeral.
Hmm.
And excuse me. Oh, allergies, I hate them. But
Hmm.
anyways, MJF comes up to him, and I actually found out that Brian was actually neighbors with MJF when he was a child, and he actually babysat him, I guess, from time to time. So MJF comes up to my friend Brian, and Wardlow was there, and Sean Spears, and this is when Wardlow was still, hanging around with MJF, I guess. And he says, "Got a question to ask you." He says, "You know a lady in Arkansas by the name of Granny Hulkster?" And Brian's like, "Well, yeah." He says, "How do you know about Granny?" He says, "Word of mouth." So I guess he was talking to him just recently, and he says, "You never did tell me how you found out about Granny." He says, "I'm not telling." So inquiring minds want to know, MJF, if you're listening to this podcast, you need to fess up how you found out about yours truly. Someday I may find out, someday I may not, who knows? But, my friend Brian said, well, he's Maxwell. He says, Granny could cut your scarf up with a pair of scissors. So
There you go.
I have a lot of independent friends who have actually wrestled for AEW Dark.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it was one of them. I know one of the head of the security guys, Shane, that works for AEW, and I have a very good friend, Barry, that kind of does security for them from time to time. I don't think it was either one of them, but like I said, inquiring minds want to know how MJF found out about Granny Hulkster, but maybe someday we will find out the big secret, but I don't know.
There you go. What are you gonna go to WrestleMania this year?
No, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go. My friend wanted me to go. That's we went with last year. Um, I guess he's going with some friends from New York. He was hoping that I was going to be able to go, but unfortunately, personal issues came up, that my financial pocketbook just isn't going to allow me to try and make that trip this year. I would like to, but no, I don't think it's going to happen. Of course, my friend keeps teasing me. He says, "Don't be surprised, Granny, if the people from WrestleCon contact you and want you to come set up a table." I said, "Well, they want me to come to Los Angeles, pay for my hotel room and pay for my plane ticket. I'll be on the first plane out, and I'll get some merchandise made, and I'll go. So, but I don't look for that to ever happen either. But who knows? Who knows?
Well, I've enjoyed talking to you. It's like it's just through Scott the Icon. It's like you and Matthias and Chrissy Krueger. I don't know who else I've met through him, but I'm having you back here, and it's like you
So
made an impression on me.
very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Thank
But,
thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. So
well, I was gonna say, how are things going with the show? You guys have a really nice chemistry. I enjoyed being on that show.
well, it's really interesting now that their show is done live out of Ken's 89.1 FM every week, and I mean, still, of course, I call in like I've always called in and everything, but I'm not actually physically in the studio with Icon and Matthias, unfortunately. I just call in like I always call in and do the show, my part of the show that way. But I know it makes it kind of difficult sometimes. Like we had a guest on last week that he was actually overseas where he was calling from. So I actually couldn't ask any questions because he wouldn't been able to hear me, unfortunately. But it happens that's the way it is sometimes. But I, it's it it's getting bigger. Icon and Matthias have actually, they're going to be part of a movie from what I understand. And
Yeah,
now Icon is,
yeah, yeah.
well, the legacy thing is the one that they're both doing, and then Icon is going to be part of that Friday the 13th blood list or whatever.
Anthony
I guess
Commando,
that
yeah.
I guess that recently just came about, but one of these days, I have a friend here in Northwest Arkansas that actually does movies, and he was looking for extras, and I never got the chance to email him, because I thought it might have been kind of fun to be an extra in one of his movies, but I never got the chance to email him my information because I was so, my schedule just was so busy that I just didn't get time to do it. But I know, my friend in Northwest Arkansas, I'm sure he'll be doing movies again somewhere soon, and who knows, I might get an extra in his movie or something, who knows. I mean, I would love that, but so it's, I'm happy for them, I'm happy that they're going to get to be a part of this. And, one of these days, who knows? I mean, Granny might be an extra in a movie somewhere along the way. So,
Well, where can you hear that? Because I'd love to hear my interview with you guys again, and I don't know where. I just started putting mine on Spotify, this
well, um, now that, I mean, I guess when we were part of Blog Talk,
Mhm.
of course, we've been on Ken's 89.1 FM for over a year now. So, that might be an icon question.
Okay. Well, I'll
he
reach
might
out.
be able to he might be able to help you with that more than what I could, because now that we're doing the episodes live on the station, I'm
Mhm.
not sure how that all. I know they've probably got the episodes downloaded somewhere. I don't know where.
I
That
know
that's
either.
just that's not my forte. I mean, I'm just a co-host. I just call in and help with the show. I don't handle any of the other, and Big Swing, he calls in occasionally. But his schedule, is very busy too. But like I said, that would probably be more of an icon question.
Okay.
So,
Well, before we let you go, we have to hear a Granny Hulkster promo. So, I mean, let's just say, WrestleMania 39's coming up and they need a big, big attraction. And they're signing Granny Hulkster versus Eric Matthias.
oh my
And,
God.
Eric Matthias seems very, very confident,
Oh yes, yes,
I,
I,
I
I, I
need to cut
know,
a
I
promo
know,
on
I
you.
know. Well, unfortunately, I can't. I don't have the Hulk Hogan voice, unfortunately, of course, with my sinus problem today and my allergies, yes, I'm a little raspy sounding, I'm sure. So I apologize, fans, for those that are listening out there. Um, but let me tell you one thing, Matthias. This is Granny Hulkster here, and you are always so confident about yourself. But one of these days, Granny Hulkster will come to Fargo, North Dakota, and be able to sit in live on the radio station for one of our weekly episodes at 89.1 Ken's FM. So, Matthias, I'm just going to tell you, you better watch your back, because you never know when Granny's going to show up. And what are you going to do? What you going to do, Matthias, when Granny Hulkster goes crazy on you? So watch your back. I'm coming after you, Matthias.
I love that. I love that. You guys are so awesome, you know. I thank you so much for coming on here today, you
You're
know.
very welcome. You're very welcome. I had a blast. It's always a great time getting to talk with you and, just helping you out whenever I can. And like I said, it's just, things have just been so. I was hoping 2023 would be start off a lot better for me and my family. And, you know, uh, unfortunately, I had to get a brand new water line put in my front yard recently because we had some very cold temperatures, and I had such old water lines that they didn't completely freeze and bust, but it was just enough where the old galvanized piping had rusted out and was just causing a lot of problems. So, we got that taken care of, but God willing, if I can get everything paid off in full before March of next year, I won't have to worry about that interest charges. So that's what I'm hoping for. So, but
Well,
that being aside, things have just been I've been very busy, family issues, helping my son, helping my mom, and it's just one of these days I keep telling my husband, I said, I want to go somewhere just for a weekend or a week and just get away and hide where nobody knows me. But then I get to thinking about my character gimmick, and I thought, that's not going to work because sure enough, I know I'm going to go someplace and somebody's going to recognize me from somewhere. So, but that's okay if they did. I mean, that's okay if they did. That's fine. I don't have a problem. I love doing what I do. I love making it fun for the other wrestling fans at wrestling shows. Really quick, I got to share a real quick story with you. We had a new promotion start here in Springdale, Arkansas, where I live, and we went to the show a couple weeks ago, and the general manager, Wes McCann, came up and he said, well, Granny, we're going to have some fun with you tonight. And I said, okay, this sounds good. So they came out to the ring with this contract, like they were going to have a fan of the night, and they were going to let the fan of the night get in the ring. And they're like, well, should it be Granny Hulkster? Oh, maybe this kid over here, he's being a really good fan. Well, what about this guy over here? And he was dressed like a wrestler. And I think he was one of Xander's trainees. Well, anyways, this wrestler, he's from Oklahoma City. His name is Angel Camacho.
mhm.
Now, you've seen kind of the big Samoan wrestler guys. You know how big they are. Well, this guy is huge. I mean, he is big. Well, he comes out, he slaps this guy around, he body slams him, he chops him in his chest. He says, now, boy, you tell me you still want to be a wrestler. So, and, I get up and I start hollering at him, and I said, hey, ugly. He says, Granny Hulkster, you, I'm going to tell you, you old woman, you need to be in my kitchen cooking and cleaning for me. And I said, well, that ain't never going to happen, ugly. And he said, well, why not? I said, because you're ugly and I ain't going to cook and clean for you. You ain't worth my time. And he says, well, old woman, why don't you get in this ring and show me what you got? And I said, well, hey, ugly man, why don't you get down here and get in Granny's face if you think you're man enough? And we were going back and and it was just the crowd was loving it. And Angel was saying in the back when they came up with this gimmick, he says, yeah, get Granny in the ring. I'll slap her around a couple times, but this guy is huge. And I remember one time we were at another wrestling show, and he comes out and I said, hey, ugly. He says, he says, you have the nerve to call me ugly? And he pointed to my husband and he says, and look who you're with. you know, I said, well, he ain't ugly. He's handsome. You're the ugly one, but we have so much fun going back and forth that, I love
Uh,
doing what
well, I heard that if you beat Matthias, there'll be a new water line. You'll win that.
I'll be able to, yeah, I'll be able to get that paid off in full in time. Well, that's pretty good. So that's pretty good.
Oh,
Matthias can pay for my water line, you know. He's
there you
working.
go.
He can pay for my water line.
I think so. Yes. Before I let you go, please do a plug for my show.
Sure.
Just state your name. Say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Granny Hulkster here, and you are listening to Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. Folks, watch out for her when she's at ringside. What you gonna do when Granny Hulkster runs wild on you? Eric Matthias, she's looking at you. Thank you so much, Laurie, for coming
You're
on here.
welcome. You're welcome. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Take care. God
Take
bless.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye.